and gentlemen, we do have 5:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. This will be our latter meeting of June 2023. I want to thank everyone for coming this evening, and if I can, I'm going to ask if Supervisor Williams, if you would open us up in a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening with thanks and gratitude in our heart. We thank you for being so kind. We have been in situations where storms have frightened us, but you took care of them and had them to go another way. We thank you for your goodness toward our county, toward our state, and toward our nation. We pray, oh Father, for each and every one of these board members. We pray not only for them, but Heavenly Father, we pray a blessing upon their families too as well. Bless them as they go in and out. We pray, oh Father, that you will give us the type of knowledge and understanding that will benefit Octavia Hall County in a way that none other can. We pray then for your knowledge and understanding. We pray that after we have served, and we pray that we serve well enough that you will be pleased in what we do. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for your mercy and your grace. Help us to make Octavia Hall County a better place to live, a better place to work, and a better place to raise a family. This is our prayer. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Supervisor Williams. All right, next up on our agenda is the citizens' comment period. This is when any citizen can come up here to the board and have a comment, concern, or complaint for up to 3 minutes. If anyone wants to address the board at this time, now's your time. All right, seeing that there are none, we're going to move along. We do have an addition in our agenda concerning a scholarship that is for the Minority Caucus Scholarship. And we have Mr. Kenny Rogers. He's present to accept this scholarship for his son.
Hey. All right.
How you doing, sir? How you doing? Sir.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you for what you do too.
Yes, sir.
I see you have got a job yourself.
Yes, sir, I do.
So we have the matter of a check. I believe that's in the amount of $1,000 to be presented to Mr. Rogers.
Right.
Can we get him? Thank you.
What's the son's name?
Connor.
Connor. Okay.
Connor, yes.
So Connor is your son's
Yeah,
name.
he's in summer school, this is why he's not here now, so I'm gonna send this to him.
There you go. Congratulations.
Sir, thank you so much.
Yeah, good.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Rogers. All right.
Need a motion to acknowledge the scholarship.
Motion to acknowledge. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard to acknowledge that scholarship that we just awarded. All those in favor? Say aye. Motion passes.
Aye.
5-0. Thank you, Supervisor Trainer. All right. So moving right along, we have Mr. Tom Good for the Harris Road concerns.
What about that
We got
Joseph
Ridge
Murphy?
Joseph
He's
Murphy.
not here. They said he's not
He
here.
was not here.
They said he's not here.
Go ahead.
How y'all doing?
Have a
That's
seat.
it.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
My
sir.
first time. How y'all doing?
No.
Fine.
Did I mispronounce that? I'm sorry.
Good.
That's
Rhymes
good.
with food.
Yeah,
Yeah, junior.
Junior,
So, yeah, thanks for putting me on the agenda. I was trying to find out an update, and I have some concerns just about the Harris Road project. We live at the end of Harris Road, 36 Harris Road. And I have some pictures I passed around, but we'll pass around. But I guess about a year ago the project started. It's kind of from understanding that it would resume this year sometime. And I'll pass around, but like on my property, they cut into about 15 to 20 feet. Took down the whole tree line. Took down about 200 to 300 feet of my fencing. And I also have a small pond there, and right now where they cut into the levee is it's not even wide enough to get a tractor across. I'll just pass these around.
Yeah, please,
here.
if you do. So,
Um,
you said about 200 feet?
Probably 250. I know my property is about 300 feet along that line, but all of it was not fencing. And then the last photo I'm sending is just at my driveway. There's a pile of dirt that was left, been there for about a year. I can't even maintain it because you can't get anything in there. So my concern is on my property because there was a lot of changes and that haven't been corrected. And then maybe what's the update on the project? Because again, last year when I was talking with the individuals out there, it was supposed to be resumed this year, and then I was told it's being pushed off for another year. Well, that's a lot of issues on my property right now. So,
Right.
Well, yeah.
Supervisor Williams, if you want to
Well-
speak to that.
how you doing?
I'm fine, Mr. Gould. We've had several conversations about
Right,
that.
I know.
We have, and my wishes is, and I've been talking to our road manager about continuing with the building of Harris Road. And once we get in and start building it, we can make corrections to the stabilization. We have enough funds to add some stabilization material
Okay.
right there at that location. Now, where your pond is located at.
Right.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, like, right now, like, what other, I know they came in last year and, because we're only talking 3/4 of a mile, I think, of
Right,
gravel
right.
road right now. And it looked like they changed each person's culverts that needed to be
Yeah.
changed. Of course, most of the widening took place at the end, which is on my property. And I kind of wondered, they had plenty of flat land to the right, and they went about 15 feet, like I said, and took down a whole tree line and a fence. And you can't see the pond, but the water's edge is right on the edge here. That's my levee right now. And the rain's just eroding it. I mean,
So the pond is,
the pond
Yeah, we-
right to the left of that. So, I mean, it's getting pretty close right there to the
Well,
levee.
well, we haven't really built Harris Road at your location.
Right.
We moved some trees, but we haven't built the road, so we still have some clay, gravel,
Out there.
built up now that we can take and move that levee over.
Okay.
So there's still room for improvement.
Right.
If we could only get back to that project, and I certainly hope that.
But
And I've been making plans that we get back on that project immediately.
Right.
Harris
I
Road.
mean, is that like
immediately.
maybe this year? I mean, my question would be, if we started it over a year ago and then it came to a halt for 8 months. I mean,
Right.
like the dozer guy, I stopped him the day I got out of my truck and stopped him. He had no clue my pond was even there. And he was just grading away. And I was like, stop. So there's some concerns there, so.
Yeah, well, we're familiar with it, and I'm sure we'll stay in communication with you and make that situation pleasing to you.
Because like
Once
right now,
we-
even aesthetic, I mean, I know it's the aesthetic, but when you got a pile of dirt half the size of this room at your mailbox,
Yeah.
aesthetics wise, no.
And I'm sure you sign like the right-of-way agreements and things like that for them to get on your property?
I don't think I bought the property. We just moved into our house last August. Of course, we were building during that time. The only communication I had was someone came out, talked through with me as far as what trees they were going to take out, which I approved. But again, it was
Did you sign a piece of paper?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, that'd be the first thing we need to
And I
track
may
that
have.
down.
I
Yeah.
could be corrected. I may have, but I don't remember. But
And then I would ask if we could move that pile of dirt, would that help until we can get the road finished? By your driveway?
right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if we just came out there and could get it cleaned up, I mean, would
and I
that,
guess
what would,
right, or if we're going much longer, I guess my question too is with the fence,
I was gonna say the fence is still down.
I mean, I have people, I got people riding 4-wheelers on my property. I mean, right now you can easily just
Right.
drive on in there, and that's a
Well,
concern. so.
often I'm saying, let's get started.
Mhm.
Let's do
No.
Harris Road. I don't know why we not out
No,
there.
I mean, that'd be, I mean,
But-
obviously, I'd love to see it paved, but, I mean, right now, just trying to
But
get some of it
the
corrected.
plans are to pave it.
Right.
But the plans first is to build it.
Okay,
But I can't build it myself.
right.
I
But like,
am-
what,
I'm-
what,
I am
what is
encouraging.
left on the building end
Yeah,
is my
right.
question. I mean, what does that consist of?
Well, they're gonna have to go in there and, of course, get the slopes and the ditches, and it sounds like they've got the cross, or the culverts and the cross
Right,
drains.
but they did a
going.
lot of, and then y'all were out there probably 6 months last year, 4 months, 4 to 6 months, doing a lot of grading, and I know the whole place, y'all started the pavement in and worked towards my house. I was the last, of course, being the end of the road,
The end of
I was the last
Right.
few weeks y'all were out there.
Right. I'm in
Okay.
communication with.
Okay, yeah.
We're talking all the time. You and I.
Right.
You and I are talking all
Yeah,
the
I
time.
just,
I'm very
right, I mean, I
familiar.
was, right, I was just trying to get some answers, so.
So, yeah, what is left to do on his levee right there, and I mean,
And,
I
you know,
guess
can the road be moved?
The road can
Again, I
be-
know, you know,
Well, the road is not built at that location.
right,
There's a ditch, and material could be made so the levee could be moved over further.
okay, or just
So,
secured right
yeah.
there.
And then some stabilization material could be put in
Okay.
at that location too,
Right.
to make sure that everything is fine. But
Because I know if we go through another winter like we did last year, because I just, you know, of course, you know, it
So-
eroded a lot through the winter, so.
I've been making encouragement that we do Harris Road as soon as we possibly
Mm-hmm. Okay.
can.
Okay.
And this is the road building season that we need to be on Harris Road.
Right.
And I must say that I have been talking to the road manager, Mr. Collins, and others about let's do Harris Road.
Okay.
Let's finish Harris Road. Now, Mr. Collins might be able to tell you more about when the plans
Okay.
are gonna be
Okay.
for us to get out there and actually get started.
Okay.
And once we get started, we can address.
Right, okay,
We can address your concerns
Right.
as we go.
right. Well, if you put him in contact, and just
tell you,
give me a
yeah,
plan
yeah.
of action, is
I
the
think
only
it'd be
thing I'm
good
asking.
for
so.
maybe yourself, the road manager,
Right.
and Supervisor
Which I have
Williams.
requested that.
Yeah, but
And
I
we-
gave you the phone number to
I
the
did, I
road
called him,
manager.
I called and
Didn't I?
he never called me back, set up a time. I mean,
Okay.
I told him I was available.
I want you to understand
semi-retired.
that I'm doing all I
Yeah.
can
Right.
to get Harris Road built.
okay.
I've gotten you in communication with him and him in communication with you.
Okay,
So
let's-
I'm gonna continue to
Okay.
communicate with you as I've been doing in the past.
Right.
And whatever you need, once we get started,
right,
we'll be right there to make a correction on whatever
Right.
you need done.
okay.
Our road manager will take care of that once. I know he's gonna oversee it,
Mhm.
and I'm sure he'll do a good job of making sure that we're not too far over on your levy.
Okay,
Well, let's do that, just set that
Yeah.
up between yourself,
Right.
Supervisor Williams, and the road manager,
Mhm.
meet out there. Like I said,
Yeah.
that's in his area,
Right.
his
Right.
district, so.
Right.
I've got one question.
Yes, sir.
And this, you know, not saying this, but you mentioned something about a lot of property was taken on one side. Do you own the property on the other side of that road?
on my plot, it does not say. It shows my property only ends there at the road. Now, my neighbor, and this is just as of about a month ago, my neighbor, Mr. Willie, there's a stake in his yard. He was trying to tell me that was my property line. I don't think it is across on his, but I think I end there at the road.
That was just one of the
Yeah, I don't think
concerns
I've come
you
across.
mentioned.
Yeah.
So whenever they make it back,
Right.
that might be an option.
Right.
But anyway,
I think there's an easy fix once we
Right.
get started.
Right.
Once we get started.
Yeah, I
I
just
think
didn't
there's
want
an
it
easy
to be
fix.
ignored too much longer because it's just some issues there. So, and then, you know, if we can decide what to do on the fence.
And let's make sure we have the proper documentation too. the
Right, and
right-of-way
like I said, I
agreements. We
could be
need to-
wrong. I mean,
we need to make
of
sure that
course,
we
you
have
know,
all
when
of
you're
that
building
stuff
a house
before we
and
get on
doing it,
your
I'll
property.
probably sign something, you know, maybe I did, but I don't
Okay,
remember.
okay.
I'm sure
We need
you
to track
do
those
that.
down.
I think we got 2 signatures on that because you purchased the land after we started on Harris Road.
No. I purchased it, October of 21.
Yeah, I remember getting a signature
Yeah.
from you.
Okay, may have.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we didn't start building till like 8 months later.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're satisfied.
Okay.
We will satisfy.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You want to make a motion to acknowledge?
I motion to acknowledge, but my motion is gonna be that we start on Harris Road soon, being next week if any way possible. That's my motion, start on Harris Road
Have you got
next
all-
week if possible, if possible.
Supervisor Williams, I'm not gonna second it, you might get a second. And Mr. Goode, let me just tell you how we've got 5 districts.
Oh, mhm.
And we tried and rotate
Right, yeah.
work to be done.
Mhm.
And right now, they've left that district and they're getting some work done in other
Right,
districts.
mhm.
And so that's how it works. We all sort of wait our turns.
Right.
Some of us wait. I mean, I sympathize with you, but they're working on a road that I've been for 4 years.
Right.
Been
But
in
my
that
only
situation.
question was, if you were gonna not prepare to move forward, then don't start it to begin with, because my property's in worse shape now than it was a year ago.
Understand.
So
I
understand, I
Yes,
understand,
sir,
but
Ray.
if
Yes,
the
sir.
planning is not coordinated right, then don't start it.
And maybe let me say this, we've now got a different road manager
Right.
than we had when
Right.
this project began.
Right.
And we're seeing significant progress and I sympathize with you, but I've got some people that have been waiting 4 years in your exact situation. Sure. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Let
Thank
me clear up that my motion was only if possible. If possible. Let me make sure I did integrate the if possible in there. So
I
I motion
think-
that we start on Harris Road next week, if possible.
I think, Mr. President made a good suggestion that you all just meet and discuss this, and I don't really see any need for a motion like that.
Well, I carry that as a motion.
All right, we got a motion, do we have a second? No second, motion dies for lack of a second. Thanks, sir.
I do think we need to acknowledge, though,
Yeah. We need a
the-
motion to acknowledge
the,
Mr.
if that's
Good.
okay, and that maybe y'all get together and let's get a plan of action. I don't know that it'll happen next week, but I definitely think we need to get a plan of action. So,
We don't need a plan because the clay gravel, everything is on site. We've almost finished. We almost finished with it. We just have a small portion of that road to go. There's not much more left to be done. Okay, but
I
we
would
will
like to see
continue
my 4-year road get finished first. I'm just gonna be honest.
Right.
All right,
Okay,
so we had a motion to acknowledge.
Yeah.
That was Supervisor Williams.
right.
Second.
Second by
To
Supervisor
acknowledge.
Howard. Any more discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, moving right along, Mr. Dennis Truax.
Correct.
Look at
Thank
there. Southgate subdivision concern, so I actually grew up in that neighborhood.
Did you?
Yes, sir.
How far up front?
Saw Jerry Rice, I lived right next to his mother and his father, so I used to.
Mr. and Mrs. Rice were fine people.
Fine.
They were good friends and really miss them being around.
They were good people. There was a second house before that road goes to the right. We're right there in the curve, the old white house.
Right.
That got moved from Lewis.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. And that was a good move. That was well done. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll try and be expeditious. The good news is I'm not asking for you to do anything today. But I do have a longer term vision, and so I put together the slides, put them in the documents that you have. So if you will, allow me to kind of run through these. I don't know what you know of my background, but let me start off by prejudicing you by saying that I'm a civil engineer.
I'm just gonna say, if he says it, don't argue with him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that,
Well,
to the board.
I was head of the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering at Mississippi State for 15 years. I was the director of the Mississippi Transportation Research Center. The first job I had after coming out with my undergraduate degree was doing overlay work on highways as part of a county supervisor, and I've worked for county supervisors and as a county supervisor for about 15 years out of my life, albeit 41 years at the university in a faculty position. So giving you that as a credential, if nothing else. Let me also say that I come to you having done some homework For example, I know that in the Southgate subdivision, we are pushing to have a centralized wastewater collection and treatment system installed. And I've talked with Mr. Prysock about the status of that, and his optimism would suggest that we'd be seeing some kind of construction in a year and a half. My real in the fact that design process of transitioning to a new multi-region, multi-state consulting firm, there's not going to be any construction in 2.5 years. If they're lucky, it would be 2. So what I'm bringing to you today is a concern beyond the wastewater concern and some of the other concerns we have in the neighborhood with regard to the road system. So we're going to beat roads to death today. And let me say that Mr. Williams and I have talked on a number of occasions, and he's been very supportive. Your prior road manager, and this is where I'm going to discredit myself, is actually a former student, but I didn't teach him roads, so you can't blame me for that one. At the same time, your current road manager and I have talked and exchanged some conversations. Nothing I say here today is intended to cast aspersions on anybody. I'm just trying to present what the situation is as we see it in the neighborhood. And by a large part, I am speaking on behalf of the neighborhood, not just myself today. In fact, if the room was a little bit larger, the other, how many other households would very likely be here at that time. If you go to this, what I numbered as the second slide, I present this to you as a history. And in that history, what I wanted to let you know is that, of course, this is a subdivision. Let me back up half a step and say that in another life, Leland Mitchell would be sitting here talking with you. But of course, Leland's no longer with us. And as such, I guess I'm kind of stepped in. Back in the early days of the development, Leland communicated frequently with the county and cooperated with the county in developing and ultimately paving what would be what I call the old road, the primary road off of what is now Low 25 back to the back of the subdivision. There was a bridge installed as part of that process. The specifications for that road met county specifications as the agreement. Later, the back half of the subdivision, or actually the intermediate back half of the subdivision, began to get developed. And about 30 years ago, they came in and paved that. A little more than 30 years ago, they came in and paved that using what was then the county specification, which was a little bit of a deviation from what the front was paved. 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago, again, I'm approximating, give or take a couple years either way. About 20 years ago, the county came in and did a tar and chip overlay. Now, today you might call it chip seal, but it does not rise to the standard of chip seal as we do it today. It was truly a tar and chip stabilization, and this was because, in part, some of the front road was beginning to pothole, some of the back road was also beginning to pothole, albeit 10 to 15 years younger. And so that was put in as a stabilization. And at that point, the county proceeded to do absolutely nothing. 7 years ago, I went to the then road manager and said, please come out and run our road. Come drive our road. I worked as a county supervisor in another county, and the tradition is that the road manager, in that case, it was one of our people at the firm, would run the county road every time there was a rain. Because every time there's a rain, you can see what the problems with the road are. Whether there's depressions, whether there's cracks, whether there's indentations, any surface flaws. Keeping in mind that the asphalt that you see on top, or the surface that we see on top, isn't the road. That simply seals the road, stabilizes the road, and addresses moisture issues. The road's actually the dirt underneath. So with that said, recognizing that problem, I wasn't seeing the attention. And so I went to the county road manager at the time and said, please come out and take a look at this. 4 years ago, a little less than 4 years ago, the county came out and decided to pave the 0.3 of a mile that had not been paved for any combination of reasons at the end of Southgate Drive. During that time, the individuals involved with that phase said the work needs to be done in the front, not in the back. But it is what it was, and the work got done. 3 years ago, we started a more intense conversation with Mr. Williams, and 2 years ago, as a result, in part, a combination of cold mix and tar and chip were put down to stabilize sections of the road. Now, the quality of work that was done, as you already know from what you're dealing with from prior work, is in some cases suspect. And that's what I want to kind of illustrate for you. So if you look, the reason I put the history sheet in is if you look closely, working from left to right, you will see the original road, the 30-year road, the overlay, the 20-year tar and chip. Then you'll see the patches that were put in 2 years ago, and then you'll see the rest of the degraded road. You'll notice that in
That
the
would be
work.
as we progress.
That's right, and moving left to right. So what you'll see is the original road has been destroyed. The road from 30 years ago has been destroyed. The chip seal, or if to use the term very loosely, has degraded to the point where it is destroyed, and now we're in a process, or you're in a process of trying to patch this thing. This road's destroyed. It is literally destroyed. It failed according to roadway standards 7 years ago, and here we are 7 years later with no real relief. But I want to show you what the relief that we do have as such. I mean, we do have paved services. What's called the new section is the 30-year section, and I admit this is in front of, or begins really at my driveway, 913 Southgate Drive. If you want to come out, and I don't have anything to pick in the front yard, so you just have to stare at the house, I guess. Anyway, looking to the east, what you'll see quickly in the center picture is an area that a county truck, 20-ton truck, came out and destroyed about 3 weeks ago. It was backing up. It didn't have any business being there. I don't know why it was there. It backed up, ran off the edge, it damaged the piece that Mr. Williams had fixed 2 years ago and tried to stabilize. It crushed the bank. It slid down over the bank. And the county workforces a week and a half ago came in and threw some rock in it with a little bit of tack, and it's already failed. It's right in a very tight turn. Sight distance is okay, but the tight turn does not give an individual an opportunity. You're into this turn because it's on the right side of the road, committed to this turn, and as such, it's a hazard. Just bottom line, it's a health hazard. The water, by the way, again, let me reiterate, I took these photos right after a rain about a week ago, a little more than a week ago, not the recent rains. There might not have been a road. So as such, the water that you see pulled rained probably 8-12 hours earlier. You begin to see the running cracks on the new section. That is the beginning of a slope failure into a yard because the ditches along this section have never been maintained by the county. We're getting the push out, the sloughing of the road, and the failure of the shoulders. Footnote, not all too different than what you see down Old 25 right now, which has also failed structurally. But I'm not wanting to compete with them. So if you move to sheet 4, what we call the hill, this egregious piece of asphalt, or whatever it is, the center shot looks up the hill and you'll see a number of discolorations, each defining an area of problem. Each area of problem somewhat different. For example, if you work clockwise around the sheet, what you'll see again is another slope failure, another roadbed failure, and a progressive longitudinal crack as a result of that. If you scroll down again, working clockwise, bottom right-hand side, this is an area that has been patched and patched and patched, and you notice the radial cracks moving out from it. That's because the patch was never done right. And so all they're doing is filling up a hole and progressing that crack out. So the radiation of the crack is causing a progressive failure there. Move to the left, and I wish this was a better shot. Actually, you can go to the center shot and maybe see it better. We have a rumble strip that goes for 1/10 of a mile from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. I mean by rumble strip is whatever they laid down there, that coal mix that they put down, they compacted it with rubber-tired truck wheels, basically, rubber-tired vehicles. And so you have the indentations of the truck wheels alternating with high spots. And so if you drive about 15 miles an hour, you end up having to have your dentures replaced. 30 miles an hour, you will instill a level of damage to your automobile that it will rattle forever. And I'm talking about, my wife drives a very small automobile. The tight suspension on the thing, basically she has one choice, and that is to drive off the road over onto the shoulder to get away from it, or she drives to the left side where you see the slope failure because there was no repair done there 2 years ago. That repair predates 2 years repair. So this is the kind of situation we have. And oh, by the way, the picture on the far left, we have dirt pumping out of from underneath the original road base through the Chips Hill base, through the Tack Coat base, through the last repair base. And as such, again, this was one of the things that was tried to be fixed last time, but it wasn't repaired correctly. And again, I'm not laying that at anybody's door. I don't know what we would have today if something hadn't been done 2 years ago, and for that, Mr. Williams, I truly thank you.
Well, thank you.
Let's go to the cul-de-sac sheet. I know I'm running long. I invariably do. I work on a 50-minute interval. Too many classrooms. You may not be aware that we actually have a cul-de-sac. It's just part of the Southgate Drive. I don't know how that gets worked out, but it is. The top sheet on the left is from the southern part, looking up towards the end of the cul-de-sac. The right photograph is looking from the top of the hill towards the cul-de-sac, to give you a feeling for what we're looking for. What I wanted to point out to you is a couple of 3 things. First off, the far end of the cul-de-sac has never been repaired. It's gone. It's some gravel, it's some rock, and it's some mud. But the end of the cul-de-sac's been destroyed and lost, totally. There's nothing left to save. Moving from that spot, the center photograph is what we have coming along the cul-de-sac, where it's progressively failing. The whatever stood for asphalt, or that old char and stone, gets broken up. It becomes big pieces, then it becomes small pieces, then it becomes gravel, and then it disappears. So the progression that you see in that center shot is what that entire cul-de-sac is going through. I also then wanted the bottom right-hand photograph, again the bottom left-hand, again you see another one of those progressive cracks. The top left-hand side, you see how the pavement 2 years ago came up only part of the way and stopped for reasons I don't know. But the bottom right-hand, to me, or the members of my subdivision, how you can put down tack coat and rock, again I'm not going to call it chip seal, up to one point, stop, start again, and keep on going, and everything in between is turning into rubble. Why that wasn't stabilized, I promise you, to the best of my knowledge, what is covered in rock and a little bit of tar look no different than what's not covered at all. And that's what's going on in the county right now. That's what's going on in our subdivision right now. I can't speak to the county. If you want to hire me at a high cost, I'll ride around and do this for the entire county, but I'm not volunteering. Okay. I'd volunteered for the subdivision because they keep coming to me saying, well, you're supposed to be an engineer, do something about this. And then the last page, the oldest section. I just wanted to reiterate that everything that you saw in the newer section and on the hill, on the cul-de-sac, exists in the oldest section as well. The rumble strip, the repetitively failed pothole, the slope stability failure, and by the way, we also have a large amount of dirt along filling up one of our ditches because of I don't know what. The only other thing that I did want to mention to you, and Mr. Williams, I don't know how or why this was done. It's been more than a year, maybe 2. In the bottom right-hand slide of slide 6, oldest section, you'll notice the reflectors were put up on the bridge, but they only put them up on one. They put one on each side, and they put it on the wrong side. They put it on the left side of the bridge, as opposed to the right side of the bridge where it belongs. The reflector is there to help individuals navigating at night to know where the edge of the bridge is. If you're riding down the road on the right-hand side, you want to know where that bridge is on the right-hand side. So those reflectors need to be swapped, but ideally they should be paired up with brother, daughter, sister, parent, I don't know, other reflectors. I appreciate your time. To conclude, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. To conclude, I understand that you're coming to the end of a 4-year road cycle. I also understand you're coming to the beginning of a 4-year road cycle. And so what I'm here to advocate for is as you go through and develop, because of the comprehensive repair that I think this is going to require, if it's going to be done right, and I think if it's done right, you're talking about, 10, 15, 17 years of use without having to spend a lot of additional money. So if you think about your maintenance bill on this road over the next 10, 15, 17 years, and invest that into, along with other funds, to return this road to a reasonable status, then I think the county at the end of the day would be dollars ahead. And in the regard, that's what I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to fix anything or change anything today. We'll get through this. But I would hope that as you start thinking about and strategizing what the expenditures are and the opportunities, and by the way, something I didn't mention, I also am the immediate past president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And I mention that only because we're working closely with US DOT and other federal agencies to see that money that from IIJA and IRA and CHIPS Plus are making it into the state. Now, whether the state chooses to spend it or not, I can't do anything about that. But I know that of the over $1 billion that's coming in the state of Mississippi, almost all of it is going to road programs. I also know that there's funds going in Appalachian Region, ARPA, and other areas that could benefit you. So it may not be the county having to come up with the finances to make this project and similar projects. I'm not even speaking to Harris Road, which I know about 5 minutes worth of conversation about. But I think there's a real opportunity for you to develop a program of grants that can pursue this federal money with a little bit of county money and possibly even some state funds to help match that. And I think you can do a lot of really good throughout the county. And I advocate for that for the sake of the citizens of the county. But in doing so, I'd like Southgate Drive to be at the top of the list. Okay?
It will be.
Thank you, Mr. Trey.
You're very
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
Any questions?
Southgate is at the top of the list.
Okay. Well, I was head of the Civil Environmental Engineer program. We were number 3 on the list at Mississippi State for 30 years. Okay? No brag, just fact.
Okay.
In part because of what I did, they now have a new building.
There are maybe 1 or 2 roads that's in the head of Southgate, but
I
Southgate.
see, now we're number 3 in the list.
Southgate
I
is-
told you.
Southgate is
I
high
knew we were
priority.
number 3. I
Southgate
understand.
is
Mr. Williams,
high priority.
I truly do. And I understand a lot of people come asking the board for something. And I'm not doing anything different other than to say that we're not in an urgency. We hope it gets done
Can I
correctly.
explain?
And we think there's some opportunities that working with your county engineer, Mr. Pritchard,
Right.
you very likely could have some real succce.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate your time very, very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Chair.
Motion to acknowledge.
Second.
Second. All right, we got a motion by Supervisor Williams and second by Supervisor Howard to acknowledge Mr. Truax's report, and we're so thankful for that. Thank you so much.
Again, thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. 5-0. I do see that we have our district attorney in here.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't mean to butt in front of somebody. For Mark? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, at this time, come on up, and like I said, we will get you taken care of, sir.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
I'm coming in partnership with the Youth Court of Tillamook County. Some time ago, Judge Turner reached out to some community members about opportunities to partner to do violence prevention for juveniles and also potential programming. At that time, I asked one of my prosecutors to look into some grant opportunities that we typically get every quarter or so. Department of Justice will send us some grant opportunities, and we found one that we thought was appropriate for the Youth Court for Tillamook County. It's with the U.S. Department of Justice's Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. Don't want to go into a bunch of details. I do have a abstract that I'll, I don't know if I'll make an exhibit or just present it to the board, but to go over, the overarching goal is to establish a comprehensive support system that promotes early intervention, diversion, education, and steering vulnerable youth away from the criminal justice system by combining the legal expertise of the DA's office with the specialized knowledge and experience of the Tillamook County Youth Court. I think we have a much better chance of getting the grant if the DA's office partners with the youth court, because that'll be a strong signal to the Department of Justice that we're taking it very seriously. And we're just here today to ask you all to give us permission to seek the grant. We're not asking you to approve it, but we wanted to get your permission before we sought the grant. And I think we need to submit by next week. We've got the paperwork prepared. It's fully funded by Department of Justice if we get it, but we just want to get your permission. And I have an abstract with more details of the type of programming that we're looking at. And the program we're looking at has been approved by Department of Justice through their criteria as.
So it's not a matching grant, it's a fully funded grant.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
wow.
Yes.
Y'all, I'll make the motion.
I'm gonna certainly second it.
Yeah, we make the motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Williams to apply for that grant.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
guys.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll be back if we were able to get it and give you the details, but it's gonna be the Department of Justice, the program we wanna use has rated it as effective, so I think we have a good chance.
And
Thank you.
our county administrator wanted to
We
interject.
need documentations of everything that you receive, because we have to account for that since we'll be passed through for the funding. So we need the copies of the application. If you have that, do you have it?
We haven't submitted it yet, but.
Because we haven't gotten permission,
I know,
but
but do you have the application? Because I'm assuming the board president will need to sign.
We'll get it to you tomorrow.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then any other documents also.
That, I was
Okay.
just checking it out.
Good job.
Thank you.
He said we can keep that.
We can keep it.
Yeah, the youth court judge gets the credit because she came to the community and asked for help, and we're happy to help, so.
yes, and we very much appreciate the district attorney's office for A, having an interest in it, and B, being willing to do the majority of the work on the grant.
We
So,
certainly
Thank you.
Thank y'all, thank y'all.
Thank you.
for having
All
us.
right, thank you guys.
Appreciate y'all, thank y'all.
Good to see you.
Thank you all. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
5-0? Oh.
Supervisor Trainer, did you hear that? Aye. Okay, motion is unanimous, 5-0. All right, moving right along. We have Jennifer Robertson, the Triad Grant information. Good morning, good afternoon.
Hey.
How are you?
I am Jennifer Robinson, a native of Starkville, been here all my life. The reason I'm coming to the board is to let you know that I'm very much interested in our triad through the sheriff department. I have done some community work also with them, traveled out in the fields and see what they do. I have spoken with the sheriff. I have gone in chain of command. I've spoken with Sean Word. So I also attended the picnic that we had last Thursday at the storm shelter. I donated, and also my concern are our senior citizens and our youth. Our senior citizens are struggling. Just for me going to a couple of houses, there are people that are working jobs. Randomly, it could be you. Your mom's at home, your dad can't drive, he's sick, and you're at work and there's nobody. Well, if you're on Are You OK, you can call, sign up for this program. It needs to be implemented for 5 days a week, not just a once a month, not just a phone call calling and an answer machine say, Are you okay? You need a physical body. Some people thrive off of that. Just going with Angela to the houses, some of them just be enlightened just to see her walk in. It's the participation. Even with the picnic, we had over 65 people to attend that picnic. 65. They were all happy. We had door prizes. It was a recreational event for them to get out, get blood pressure checks, blood sugar checks, things they don't commonly do, or you don't think you have that going on. And I mean, I feel like that we, as the citizens of our 2-hour county, we owe our senior citizens that much. They paved the way for us. And to just sit here and I can look at some that don't even get a well-balanced meal. Just eating a chicken tender. I work at Sprint Mart, yes, that's a part-time job. But I just look at them come in and they say, this is all I got. That's kind of heart-wrenching. When I know we spend that much on nails, getting our hair done, just doing any other thing. I mean, we got to stop putting aside what you want to do and take in consideration of someone else.
All right.
Now, I don't mind volunteering. Yes, I'm pretty much saying I want employment. I feel like I'm a person that can go in if it's implemented, if someone decides and say, hey, we're going to give her a chance and we're going to try to work something out. I don't mind. I don't have that problem. I am Safe Serve certified. I have my own catering business. I cook. I've also cooked for Miss Sharon. I do all of that. So feeding a group of people is not bad. I fed over 300. So, I mean, I'm just saying that's not a problem. But getting the meal implemented, when you say triad, Miss Minnie did it for years. She had a group of church women. She went out and she went to the different churches and got women that were retired. And they wanted to still be active. And some people, that's the only way they stay in life. You got to be active. So that's what they did.
Well, so, and you're asking for this grant, do you need to apply for this grant? Like,
The sheriff department has one.
Have a grant already.
They already have a grant. Sean is working on all of that. They're getting ready to start a new grant July 1st. They already have a grant. But the problem is, it's not enough money to say they're going to pay for a person to come in Monday through Friday to do what I'm talking about doing.
okay.
So that may be, I'm sorry, that may be something we'll have to wait till our new sheriffs whoever takes place to decide if we can look into doing that. I'm just letting you know, I'm interested. I'm still going to be involved with them. I'm going to still donate. But I mean, there's a need. You have some people don't have anybody to come by and check on.
That's right.
They're living in houses with no
Yeah.
fans, no
There's a
heat in the
need.
winter. I mean, it's a need.
Yes, there is a need for our senior citizens.
I was gonna say, what about Meals on Wheels? Have you reached out to Meals on Wheels?
I haven't reached out to them, but the last time Meals was on Wheels was doing something, it was over at Gillespie Street Center, and they've torn that down. So I haven't heard anything about Meals. No one's really feeding unless you just say, I'm going to take up on myself. And what I did when I fed in December, I fed the people in the community, and I just got in touch with the sheriff and told him I was doing a meal. And I gave him my business card. I let him know the day I was doing it, during the time and the hours. And me and my mom went around and just dropped off plates. And it lit up a lot of people's faces. And they was just proud to see that somebody was concerned that they had a decent meal to eat.
I think our county administrator was.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to just shed some light on the triad grant so that there's not a misunderstanding. We currently receive that. That grant is funded through the sheriff's department. We only get a couple of thousands of dollars. It's not a lot. That grant is not to bring on the personnel person forward. The purpose of that grant is for the safety of the elderly, not a feeding program.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Are You OK program. That is what it is. If they call, no one answers, then the sheriff department have to send someone out to follow up. With the grant funds, they can also buy fans, host a picnic, buy smoke detectors, anything that could provide safety for the elderly. That is the purpose of the grant. It's not a food program grant. The one thing, Ms. Jennifer and I have been speaking, and I know she's seeking employment, and I advised her, that's at the will of the sheriff, because that is funded through the sheriff's budget. So that is not, and they would have to, if they bring it on, they'd have to house that person in that space, and we all know the county is short of space with a lot of departments. But we currently receive it, and I think the way she's wanting to approach it is not the purpose of that grant. I don't know if you've checked with Golden Triangle Planning and Development. They have an agent program. When they do work with the elderly, I recommend you check with them. I don't know who will be your point of contact.
Emily.
Maybe Prayer Opportunity, some other sources that may work it.
Prayer Opportunity doesn't do it, but I know Emily does. She does the food boxes and called the box tops.
Got you, okay.
Mhm.
So I just want to clarify, the triad, that is not the purpose of the triad grant. It's only for the safety.
It's a wellness check.
On it, that's it, just a wellness check.
I will, and she was talking about, I'm listening to her, and you're right, that triad grant, it only covers a certain amount. But I guess she was talking about sort of maybe expanding that to a health and welfare program type that could be housed under that. I mean, I would at least like to see us explore it, investigate it. Sean, you've been dealing with this for some years.
That's not Sean.
I'm sorry.
Sean,
I'm close. But I would like to see us at least explore the possibility, and I know it's a lot of moving parts to this. We're talking about another county employee having somewhere to house this person. I don't know if it'd be hard for you to do this by yourself if you want to take this program to this extent. But I'd like to see us maybe start to explore and look at the possibilities of maybe, because there is a definite need. And Phyllis is here from Golden Dragon Plan Development. So I know they've got some programs that sort of mirror some of this.
Bobby Gann is the Area Agency on Aging Director.
Okay. So I would like to at least explore to see if there's.
Sheriff Gladney came by the office and we did speak about it, and I think Ms. Jennifer talked with him, and his thinking was, I'm retiring, and that's the conversation she needs to have with the new sheriff.
I understand that.
So
yeah.
I think right now, and that grant runs from July 1st through June 30th. And I'm actually gonna ask for approval to apply for the July 1st, 2023 grant. But we only getting like $1,200, barely enough. Actually, we haven't been working it because of COVID too. And so Sean has really been able to work it. This year was the first time we've had a picnic about 4 or 5 years. And so we're trying to build it up, but we don't get the funding for salaries. It's not for that.
I would just sort of like to see us explore it, sort of like we did the fire coordinator position. We expanded that out and sort of,
It'll just fall under the sheriff department.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'd just like to see us at least explore. We've got time. This is nothing we can put in place in the next week, but we're gonna apply for the triad grant. But maybe continue to work, and when the new sheriff is in place,
Okay. Yes.
Thank you
And
for coming to us.
Thank
Very
you. And
informational.
I have reached out to one of the sheriffs, persons that's run for sheriff, and he likes the idea. He said that's something that we need to explore.
I don't think either one of them would really have a problem.
So
with
I
that.
have spoken with one of them, but I just wanted y'all to know I am going to continue to still work along with them, even for no pay. I just work when I'm off for my alternate days. I swap around. I still want to be vigilant with it because it's a passion that I have in my heart. That's how I was raised. And,
And I will say
children and seniors come first.
that Jennifer did our catering when we had our swearing in too.
But it's good to have ready, willing, and able person that's wanting to do it. But like I said, it's some moving parts that would have to be
I
put together
understand.
to expand it to that. But you gotta start exploring.
Ms. Jennifer, thank you for coming to us. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great afternoon.
Great idea.
All right, Mr. Desiree Billups, Elvira's Trucking Academy.
I'm gonna step forward if you don't mind first to kind of introduce her. And if I mess up some names, just forgive me. Maisha Sanders is a licensed CDL trainer and instructor. And the reason that she came to me a couple months ago, and we talked about training. And one of the reasons I asked her to come before the board is because we have a dire need for training. And I also employ one of her former students. And when he goes out to check his truck, it's a night and day situation between the way he checks his vehicle and the way the rest of them checks theirs. And so I'm gonna bring her forward now and let her give you a presentation, and then later on, I hope you have some questions for her and some questions for me concerning this. Elvira Trucking. Ms. Sanders.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I'm Shay Sanders. I'm new as a truck driver owner, company, school, whatever you may have called this. But I'm not new to CDL. I did your driver licensing some while back. I worked at Mississippi Highway Patrol for several years as CDL examiner. I started out in 2015. Went fresh in, got my training down in Malota at the police academy. Yes, it was hard, but I got through it. Became one of the self-recognized CDL examiners in the state of Mississippi. On my driver license now, currently, I hold every endorsement in the state of Mississippi and the only woman in the state of Mississippi with all of them. Hats off to myself for that. This vision came along long time ago, wanting to be this. I love trucks. I love being in a truck. I love being able to operate a truck. We as women, as being minorities, men think we can't do it, but we can. And I'm here to say we can. This training that I provide, I don't know if you guys are familiar with CDLs or the process of how this goes. Now you just cannot go in and say, I want to be a truck driver. Take a test, know how to drive a truck. There is no more. Everybody is required to have this special training, which is called ELDT training. What that is, and it's on the flyers if y'all have it. If y'all don't have it, I have paperwork.
We have them.
Okay. Take them and pass them around.
We got them. We got them.
Okay, you guys got them. Good deal. What ELDT does, whereas back years ago, grandfather or uncle or somebody in your family could train you to drive a truck, and it was called like grandfathering in. You can't do that anymore. Everybody has to show that they have been properly trained and certified to operate their vehicle safely. I would want somebody on the highway that's had perfect training, and maybe my kids and maybe your grandkids, it could be somebody else that they hurt. I would feel safe to know that these people has been trained to do what they're doing. Even people that are in this position, like the guys Mr. Victor got already working, they need refreshers, what's called pre-trip inspection and refreshers. What it's gonna do is save the county money, because if you got guys that are trained and they're checking those trucks for problems, leaks, and things that they should check, the tires, that's gonna cut down on POs, that you gotta get this stuff done, you gotta get paid. It will save the county money. If you start putting the responsibility back on these drivers and not, I could go to work and say, well, it's leaking, I'll let them know tomorrow. Well, it ain't my truck. I just work here. I ain't got to pay for it. Well, it falls back on the county. Somebody's got to fix it. You got to keep these vehicles running, right? So you want people that have the right proper training to check it. Mr. Victor can't go out there and check it all. He's got 1 or 2 mechanics, right? But if you put it back on the driver, because it's their responsibility to make sure that these trucks are properly in working condition. That's when I say I can do a pre-trip refreshment for you guys. As far as the training goes, I do the pre-trip. I teach them that hands-on. I teach them behind the wheel hands-on. They will get everything they need before they go into Mississippi Highway Patrol and test. That's what I did at EMCC 3.5 years. I was the instructor, the tester. I made sure that program ran right. They got their license through me. All they did was went to Highway Patrol and pick them up. Paid for them, pick them up. They didn't have to do anything. I did all the work. I checked off for it, made sure it was properly done, and they picked them up then. I have a 100% success rate. I just trained the City of Starkville Public Works. Every last one of my guys passed the first time. Nobody had to go back. When they went to Highway Patrol to take their test, every single last one of them passed. I just did that. A week and a half ago, all of them sitting with CDLs in their hand. So we can do this as women. Don't y'all look at us like that.
Let me go on and just tell
you already doing
Ms.
it.
Sanders, I watched this show called Gold Rush.
Uh-huh.
And there's a guy named Tony Beat, and he hires mostly women because they're easier on the equipment than the
They're
men.
easy on equipment. They pay attention. As you guys, I don't know about y'all if y'all watch TikTok or whatever, but it's more women in trucks now than there ever been. I saw one just last night, and I follow a lot of it. She is homeschooling her child in that truck. She has one child, a little boy, and I'm fascinated with him because he looks like Opie Griffin. He has red hair. So I've been watching her TikTok a lot. And she has these sessions where she's driving and he's sitting in the passenger side, and she said, no, flip back to that page in that book and get that right. So she's homeschooling her child while she's making a living for her family. He's with his mom on the road. So trucking, even if you guys as a state level being ran by the state, you want this done right. I'll come in and make sure your people, Mr. Lors and Mr. Victor tells you I'm a talker, and that's probably why I'm doing what I'm doing. So any questions you guys may have for me, this class will be a $4,000 class per 4 people. If I have to do theory training, which is the classroom part of it, I offer it online through FMCA, which is the Federal Motor Carrier Association. Once they go in, that's a $169 one-time fee to take that theory. If you have people, which I know some people been out of school longer and they're not equipped to do this online, I also have where they can come in my classroom. If not, we can maybe set some up at a conference room or however. I offer these classes. Well, how I did start for was they worked all day, because I currently work for U.S. Homeland Security. I'm the federal gun holder over at Columbus Social Security Administration. So I do work 8 to 4:30 every day. We did a 5 o'clock to like 7. It's summertime, so you got more daylight. So we did that. I also provided on Saturday and Sunday. I will definitely work around the work schedule as much as I can. Only thing I ask is, if we enroll people, they need to let myself, their current supervisor, Mr. Victor, whoever, Ms. Delores, somebody needs to know if they're going to miss. That's kind of like the issue I got. Because if you're missing, then you got me backtracking. Well, the other guys had already picked it up, then I got to turn around and teach it all over again. I run a fast track class. I guarantee 2 weeks we'll have some license. Only if they come and do what they need to do and catch on. Yeah, we're going to have 1 or 2 laggers that may not catch on. I do have a soft spot to go back. But I'm not going to reteach the whole class. They'll have to get in another class.
What about, you said that was for 4 people to get them licensed, but what about the pre-check things that you were talking about, like coming in, the drivers that we that we already have?
So,
like, what's the cost to do that, to come in and get them back on track if they need to be gotten on track?
So I would do a pre-trip refresher at $1,500.
Okay.
And we can have as many people that needs to be in there.
So you could do the whole, say there's 6 or 8 guys.
Yeah.
They already have a CDL, you can do a refresher on them.
Refresher on them. Yes. Pre-trip reinforcement on them.
How many hours is that?
How many hours for what?
About 1 day.
You mean when we do it after work?
Yeah, pre-trip.
Pre-trip?
Yeah, that's.
Well, I would say I don't want to put any hours on it.
Right.
Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because you're going to have guys that's going to have questions. And then it may be where I need to actually go to a truck. We need to go to a truck. And we need to be able to point out, this is what you need to be checking. This is what you need to know that needs to be done. That's what you're going to have to do
anyway.
Right. You need to have a checklist. We're going to have a checklist that we're going to go through a checklist.
Normally it's a 1 day. Normally it's a 1 day type teaching.
No.
And let me say
2
this,
days.
if you
It'll
think
be a few days.
$1,500 is a lot of money to pay for this, I come back from the coast with the truck broke down, with a lug come loose on it, and rent the hub and the axle. That cost us about $2,500. So you understand what I'm saying. If it had been the guy that she's trained, he would have seen that. I promise you, because he had brought stuff to my attention that I didn't see. And he come to me and said, Vic, something is wrong here. I don't feel comfortable driving this truck. Well, these other guys will go out there, they raise the hood up, they supposedly checking oil, checking antifreeze, they closing the hood up. And I stood there and watched him, and I said, hey man, you didn't check your truck. Oh yeah, I checked it. I said, no, you didn't. You didn't go near the back of the truck. The trailer's on it. And so that's what happened. If he had been checking that truck, those lugs he would have seen loose before he run to during axle on it. We might have run the hood.
Can I ask you something? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking how many days so we could get them trained and get them back out there so they can start back checking it the right way. That's
Well, it depends. If you guys want to do that, we can set up a Saturday morning.
Sure, $1,500 is nothing for the cost of return.
Right.
That the county would receive.
Right, yes,
so
sir.
I want to get them trained and get them back out so they can start doing it the right way.
Right. We'll work with it. Whatever needs to be, and whatever demand y'all need to have at that time. If I'm not full of students and running like I'm crazy, we'll get it done. Definitely, sir. We sure will. We'll work around whatever y'all need.
And that's unlimited. I'm sure that there is a limit when you get so many. You have to stop somewhere.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have a limit on. I don't want 25 people in there because everybody's not gonna listen.
That's right.
And everybody's not gonna catch on to it at the same time. So if you got 25, 30 drivers, I want you to split that up for me.
I just want to have one more question. I think what you're doing.
How many do we already have?
I think what you're doing is good.
Yes, sir.
That's a good opportunity for October County.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
The next question is about commercial license
permits.
Will you
Yes,
help
sir.
with the permit?
I can. Yes, sir. That's a full class. If I got to teach them permit, theory, behind the wheel training, the fee is more.
Right.
This $1,000 per person is per if they have a permit. If they don't have a permit, then all that changes because I'm spoon feeding from the top to the bottom. You understand what I'm saying? But yes, I can help with the permit. To answer his question, sir, he did ask me about permit. If you got drivers that don't have permits, yes, sir, I can help them obtain a permit. I can teach them their permit. But then the tuition does change from top to bottom.
Can you email us something with all the prices on it that you got so we can look at maybe getting that approved?
Do you hear that? I think Ms. Lewis has some stuff, but we gonna update some stuff for you guys.
We just don't have any prices, like, I mean, we have the 4,000 for the group, but
not these extra.
We don't have, if we could,
the
some more specifics on there.
Yes, you hear
and,
that,
and then my question would be, when you get done training them, do you got, like, you say, okay, they've been trained, then they have some type of certificate, and if we do them all, then if something happens on the road or in pre-check or something happens because they didn't check bolts, then we have a way to go back and say, well, we did spend the money and certify you. And then if there needed to be ramifications for their actions, we would be covered by that. But that's what scares me about only doing part of them and not doing all of them.
Well, that's what I said. We need to do all our truck drivers. That means the satellite truck drivers all the way to the central shop truck drivers.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am. And I definitely would. They will have a certificate saying that they went through that pre-trip certification refreshment course. Rather they go through that, rather they go through the regular training of getting CDLs. You guys, I did want to bring something by you guys. The state of Mississippi is working on a law that is going to require anybody that's operating heavy machinery, rather than at the state level, whatever level, to have a commercial license. If that vehicle weighs 26,000 pounds, they are definitely illegally operating that vehicle, and the state will start citating.
Well, I think Ms. Sanders, like I said, get us a price list.
Yeah, we will. We'll get everything together.
And let's get this kind of going.
Yeah, you guys asked me some stuff. We talked about some different stuff before I had that done.
So can we get a motion?
Let me ask you, where is your school physically located?
Steens, Mississippi. Columbus, yes.
Okay.
Steens, Mississippi.
Steens, Mississippi. Part of New Hope, part of Steens and Caledonia. They sit in the middle of every. Steens is the county seat. You got Caledonia this way, New Hope that way.
Well, I tell you what, let's get a motion in a second to acknowledge Ms. Sanders giving us this report.
Okay. And we'll send some stuff. Desiree, I have my executive assistant back there. Raise your hand. She's writing down everything y'all saying. So we'll get it to Miss Dolores and to you. We'll get some emails out. They can spread them. We don't have you guys information. If you guys want, give it to me, we'll make sure you get it, and the proper people get it. And we'll redo our pricing list because I don't think I had the refresher on there. I've been so busy, y'all. Forgive me, okay?
No, that's fine. Just get us
So
the information. Thank you.
we'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you
Yes,
so
Appreciate
much,
you.
Ms.
Nice to
Sanders.
meet everybody.
We're gonna get a motion in a second to acknowledge Ms. Sanders' presentation to us, and I appreciate it, and we'll get that price
Yes,
list
sir.
together. I
Thank
think
you,
we
thank
need to
you,
get this
thank
program
you.
moving along. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor
Second by
Howard.
Williams.
So that'd be
Motion by
Miller
Williams.
and Miller
Oh, I
and
don't-
Williams.
It-
All right,
Second
any
by-
more
Thank
discussion
you.
on the matter?
Yes,
If
ma'am.
not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Unanimous, there, he's still there.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
Thank you so
sir.
much.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Sanders.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
you. Nice to meet you.
All right,
Nice
moving
to
right
meet you.
along.
We hope to see you
Yes,
soon.
sir. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Victor
See you,
Collins,
Miss
our
Whitby.
road
Yes,
manager.
ma'am.
Hey, you guys.
Let's hear about road department updates here. Oh, excuse me, Vic, I'm sorry, we're gonna put Ms. Phyllis in here.
Okay.
She's gonna come up there and give us a change order around here. So, thank you so much, Ms. Phyllis. Come.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, if anybody's been around the bypass and taken a gander over at North Star,
Busy.
There,
Looks
right.
good.
the landscape has certainly changed in the past couple of months. So, as they would say, somebody's been picking them up and putting them down. But with that being said, I do have some good news for you today. The engineer has asked that I present change order number 1. You know, the contractor's responsibility was to bring in some fill dirt for the site pads. And fortunately, he was able to find some good soil out there on the site. And I think he's supposed to have 50,000 cubic yards of fill material, and they have identified what they think is probably 30. It may be enough. It's just one of those we're gonna have to wait and see. So right now, I do not have a cost estimate because it's, as you know, going to be one of those that's determined later, but it will be a credit for the county. So I ask that you approve change order number 1.
I heard the request made by Ms. Benson. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any more questions or discussions on the matter? If not, all those in favor say aye. 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 Motion carries unanimous. So,
Okay. Can I add one more thing?
yes, ma'am.
The ARC grant. And let me remind you that this grant, the project for the site development is 100% grant funded by ARC and a site improvements grant from the Mississippi Development Authority. So it's being completed at no cost to the taxpayers of Oktibbeha County or the city of Starkville. Okay, the elevated tank was funded with an ARC grant. The Mississippi Development Authority is the basic agency for those funds, and unfortunately they have been short-staffed, and while the project is complete, they have not been to monitor the project. Your project expires June the 30th, so I would ask, we're just going to have to request a 6-month extension to give them an adequate amount of time to come and monitor the project.
Do we need to do any kind of
I'll have to prepare a letter for your board president to sign, and then the MDA will send a contract extension.
Do you need a board order authorizing?
I think it would be a good idea.
So let's
So
get
move
that
that.
motion. Second motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Miller, to ask for that extension.
And hopefully this will be the last.
I got you.
We're having to do it on almost every project.
Number or some kind of
I'll give you a letter.
Any more,
Send that to him.
any more discussion on this? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous.
All right, thank you. I'm going to
Thank you.
pass this down, and then I'll just pick it up tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Thank you,
Phillips.
Ms.
You're
Phillips.
welcome. Thank you for letting me squeeze in.
All right. Yeah. All right. So Victor Collins, Road Department updates.
I just got a couple of things to.
It looks like you got a stack of stuff.
Well, I ain't gonna, I'm just gonna pass most of that out.
Okay.
First thing is, I did get a quote on a water truck. Man, I wish we had if you would just pass those around. I got both quotes stapled in that. So, we got another.
Need one more?
When I seen this, I kind of.
You got one more?
Yes.
Rob needs one.
Is this the same one here, or is this?
If you're
Well, you
turning
just flip it over. That's the back and that's the front.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh,
I see Scott Equipment and then another.
Then,
Got another
yeah, Litwell, yes. And, I don't have to say anything.
okay.
If
Okay.
you look at the Litwell.
Yeah. That well's stapled on the back.
Yeah. Okay. Litwell, the bid at Litwell came in at $138,434.24. And the one for Scott, you'll have to go over about 3 pages, $137,500. That old water truck look good, don't it?
I'm telling you, it's gone though, ain't it?
It's gone. We built that from scratch, basically. We built it from an old fire pumper truck, an old tank we had from years ago during the Spruill era. It was an old water tank that he had, and we built that truck with the help of Mr. Robert and a few others. We put that together. Lord knows I didn't know it was worth this much. But that's what it was worth, because it did the same thing as this truck would do. In
Yeah,
fact,
so
we had
special
it.
equipped it to-
We actually equipped it just like, when I got the quotes and I started looking down the quotes at it, I said, we had the same thing. We had a water spigot on it where we could hook it up to the concrete saw to cut driveways. We could load about 500 gallons of water out on it and go out and cut the driveways. It would load itself because it was an old fire pumper truck, so it would actually suck water out of a ditch and load its own self without having a pump out there. But that's what the price of a truck, that's what it looks like.
And you couldn't rent one anywhere.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is, we need a water truck.
Oh, I understand. I'm just
Yeah.
asking, is it slowing down, like, until we get this done? Could you find one to rent?
I may be able to. I'm not sure right now.
Because don't we need it right now?
Well, we're gonna need one when we start paving. I got the lake covered. We're gonna use a fire truck for that.
What about that rock you're putting down, that stone you're putting down?
Well, we
in
need
District 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need a water truck.
Can we not rent one until we can get? There's no
Well,
telling how long it's going
just
to take
so-
to get this in, right?
Just so, that depends on which one we choose. One of them can be in a matter of a few weeks, but I think we can get hands on one. Weekly rental is about $2,000, but it's more of a truck than we need that he found me. It's a 4,000 gallon tandem axle water truck.
That's what I got.
And
Sprays
that-
out the front, out the back, out the side.
well, this one does the same thing,
Yeah.
out the front, out the back, and out the side. That one does the same thing, but the only thing about it, we don't really need a truck that big.
Gotcha.
Because our roads already, you put 4,000 gallons of water, which, we can load 2,000 gallons on it, but we put 4,000 gallons of water on a lot of our roads, we won't have a road. And that's one of the things we have done, trying to build roads, we actually tear up a lot of our roads.
So which one is the one that we can get quickly? The more expensive one
No,
or the
the
less
least,
expensive
the
one?
least expensive one. And the reason being, the most expensive one is a Ford truck, and they don't have one already put together on a Ford chassis because a lot of people don't like Ford trucks as a heavy duty truck compared to freight trucks.
You think it's a good truck?
I feel like it is.
Just gonna keep it rocking and rolling?
Oh, it's gonna do
I
it.
move.
We got a motion by Supervisor Howland,
I second that if we keep moving.
second by Supervisor Miller to get the water truck that we all know we need.
Can we get the board order to say in the event that fall through, we can go with the second best, because we've had to come back before and do that at the same time?
Would that be okay?
Yeah,
with the
yeah, that-
amended
Is
to
that-
Yeah, that's good. And then if you have to go with the second one, and it's gonna take a while, then we can rent.
Go to rent.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you heard the request. Got a
The
motion and a-
check, it was modified.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Got a motion and a second, and I see him over there amending that order. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, guys, we're gonna change the subject here a little bit. I've been getting calls a pretty good bit about a project, and I know it's still on the state aid. But the damage was done. We didn't do it. It was done by the contractor when they built the road. They damaged Miss Rogers' fence, and we gotta do something about it. We got to react and do what we need to do, and then go through the stages that we need to get it so we can get something in action.
Yeah, because like I said, we've exhausted everything on that. We gotta do something about the fence.
Yeah, and this is the thing, it's just not the fence. The way the road was built, we're gonna have to fix it to where we can put the dirt back there that was taken away.
From that slope that's so.
Yes, when the country, and I wasn't working for the county, but when I came through there one afternoon and they was cutting that slope down, I said to myself, that's gonna be a problem right there. I never thought I was gonna have to address it, but I seen the problem when it was in progress. The dozer man was up against, he had the dozer all the way up against the post pulling the slope down. And I knew that slope wasn't gonna stay there because that's clay, it's crumbly clay soil. So as soon as the water went through there and cut the lower section of dirt out from under, what else for the top section to do but fall in the ditch behind?
Well, me and you, of course, we met out there and looked at that extensively, and
yeah,
you said it would come to this, but you know, you had to get that the transit,
yeah,
you know, back.
So this is the thing.
What do you think
and
we need to do?
This is I only know one way to fix it, and I don't know if state aid is signed off on that road or not.
They have not.
So this is the only way I know to fix it is to go in that. We're gonna have to put a pipe in that ditch below the ground, to carry the water
towards that bridge,
to put outlets on it where the water off the road will run into that culvert every so many feet. So we're gonna have to put an outlet on it where the water coming off of Rogers Road will run into that pipe. That pipe will have to go the length of that. We can use a plastic cover with drain outlets every so many feet to fix it and bury it and put the dirt back on top of it and put a curve there to hold the dirt. That's the only way to fix it. For it to not come back and hunt us anymore.
This was Phillips that we're talking
Yes,
about, right?
yes, that was their doing.
Phillips Construction, the road company that messed up.
They
another
got too
project
much
in
of the
our
slope
community.
off of it. One person is gonna blame the other. They're gonna blame the engineer and state. It's gonna
be a wheel.
It's gonna be a wheel, and it's gonna turn.
But that's why they have the insurance that they have.
Can you
Right?
give us a cost estimate?
I'll get the cost of the pipe and approximately how much time it'll take to put them in, and approximately how much it will cost to put a curve there.
And what about, we're there at the gate with that cross section where you can see the darn concrete under the ground?
Oh,
fix that too?
Yes.
Because that'll bring that dirt all the way up.
All the way back. We got to put that dirt all the way back up against that slope, and we can rebuild that fence. Truly speaking, the contractor should have left at least a foot of dirt outside of the fence, and then put a tapered slope on it which it wasn't enough area there to do that. So they overdid it, and it should have been designed with a curve.
So I'm gonna ask this, errors in admission insurance, you know, they're supposed to have that. Do we need to get a professional opinion from somebody, an actual engineer, so we can maybe recoup the taxpayers' money? And that, I'm gonna throw this out there too, and I'm gonna bring this up. This seems to be happening a lot with things that we've contracted out. Grand Oak subdivision, y'all know that the taxpayers, we paid for that through a contractor last term to have that whole subdivision soil cemented, all the roads redone, and they are crumbling. They're not 4 years old.
That's not the only one. I can come up with another one right now.
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying we've got to find a way to help eliminate this, because when we contract this out, we've got our county engineer that's overseeing the project. We've contracted it out. We've bid it out. They come back. We pay them, you know, and they don't last even 4 years. And then the taxpayers are like, "Do my road again." Well, we're moved on to the next group of roads that we're hoping to improve. We don't have the money to go back. The taxpayers don't do that, and they should at least last 10 years.
And I agree with Supervisor Miller.
You need to find out wherein lies the problem.
Right.
Do we have a process to recruit reimbursement? Do we have a process to go back and get reimbursement for the work that we have to do?
Can we, I guess we can send them just the same way we filed suit
We
on
could,
those.
we could file suit. But here's the bigger problem, y'all. Some of the projects that we're doing, I'm getting information from our engineering side that we're running out of people that will bid on these projects.
Yeah.
That's one of the excuses I get. The second excuse I get will be, well, look, bottom line is lowest and best. I think we need to start looking at best on our construction projects, and there are gonna be companies that have not met the level of quality that we should be expecting. And I also think that we're gonna have to make an example of somebody at some point and move forward with a lawsuit on something, because I don't know what else to do, because there's several projects out there that are not up to the standard that I think that y'all expect. So to answer your question, no, sir, we don't.
This is just a recommendation. You all make the decision and move forward. That's a state aid project. State aid is still responsible for it. I don't know if state aid is aware of the concerns that we have locally going on. What I would recommend is we allow Clyde to get up with state aid, let them know we have a major issue, and let state aid get up with that contractor. Because state aid has not signed off on that road and handed it back to the county. I don't think the county.
Since it's in my district too, I will make that motion.
Second. Yeah. Get us a cost together.
I'll do that.
Because I'm afraid if we start going on a road that state aid hadn't signed off on, that voids all contract.
Well, and that's the reason I said we need to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
It hadn't been rolling, and we need to get it.
Can we get a letter, I'm just asking Rob, and get Clyde's signature, or get us copied on that goes to Harry Lee or whoever, like directly to him? I would appreciate that.
And so this motion in a second is to see about litigation.
Allowing state, giving notice to state aid that there's problems on Longview Road dealing with damage to property and said roads.
Through the engineer?
Through the engineer.
Well, I want to say one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you've heard the request. We got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Unanimous.
I think that's,
Do we need a motion? Did we do a motion and second too let's get a motion in a second, and I'll motion that to get, our road manager to get us an estimate to address the problems with Ms. Rogers.
Second.
Okay. It's been properly motioned and second. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye. Motion carries unanimous.
May I, while we're here, I believe that there is already a board order that I had added John Starr Road to my 4-year road plan. I think, but this was after, you know, I went back and added it, and I believe it's there, but if it's not, I'd like to add that to my 4-year road plan, so can I go ahead and add, John Starr? We wanna put some rock on that road as well, so.
That's your motion.
Yeah, my motion, please.
Second by Supervisor Howard. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
And I believe we've already got one, but we'll have to check.
Motion carries unanimous.
I think I have one, yeah, I do.
Is there anything else?
Anything else?
Yeah, well, we had some conversation about Harris Road earlier. And I wasn't asking that Harris Road be paved. When I say start working on it, I think you understood what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Is that let's move some dirt, basically, and get it built, not to get it paved.
Yeah.
To pave it, it could set over the winter, and we can possibly pave it in the spring of 2024. So I'm asking basically let's move dirt.
Let me get some of the things that we've got. We still working with kind of like a skeleton crew.
Right.
So just let me get some things in order and get a couple of these projects that's there before us out of the way, and then we'll go back into construction on that particular road first after we get these things that we got a couple of big pretty good sized projects sitting there in front of us. And I understand the need to fix that one, I understand it, but let me roll the ball as much as I can.
Right, I understand.
And don't overload that ball I'm pushing.
But you know I said if possible.
Yeah, yes,
So,
yes, sir.
There at least 3 roads need to be built. We got dirt piled upside the road, and people are complaining about it.
Yeah, and
So-
I know,
we can
cause
move forward with moving some dirt. I guess that's what I'm asking.
we got
I'm not asking for the road to be paved. I'm asking let's move dirt.
yeah, well,
That's basically-
I got a couple of them I gotta move dirt on first. And as soon as we can get those out of the way,
Yeah.
then we'll move in, we'll definitely move in on it. It'll be the first thing we do.
Yeah, and the other two too. Let's move
Yeah.
dirt on those.
That'll be one of the first things we do.
And I know you can't pave Hurst Road until you get the
Well, we're gonna work out something. If I have to beg one of these other counties for a truck,
Right.
I'll get something on the ball.
Right.
If something happens and we can't get one, I'll call over to Lowndes County and beg the road manager if he's got a truck available. We can use it a day at a time. I'll do it. You know.
Before you leave, Vic, I'm gonna get Supervisor Miller. I do have a prior engagement that I'm just gonna have to leave, but I've got a couple of just requests that I'm gonna put in there, and I do apologize, I'm just gonna leave. But
Okay.
At 3051 Self Creek Road, the guy put 2 flags up. I don't have the number, but it's to
3051.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's to get into that property that he's gonna eventually try to.
He
build on.
did put the flags up.
He put there are 2 green flags 30 feet apart.
Okay.
I'll second.
So we got a motion at 3051 Self Creek Road.
Okay.
To install a culvert so he can get onto his property there. Got a motion by myself, second by Supervisor Miller. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor, say aye. 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 All right.
61 or 51?
51. And then I've got on Bluefield Road, there's no address here. It's a Mr. Victor Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
He's needing to get onto his property as well. I'll make a motion to do that as well. Second by Supervisor Howard. Any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor, say aye. And then, unanimous.
Bye-bye.
And then on 94 Cardinal Lane, there's a tree about to fall down.
Yeah,
And literally,
yeah.
the roots are coming up out of the ground on the backside. So, I'll get you, and I've got the number to this Mr. Johnson. I'll give it to you.
Okay,
before
all right.
you leave.
I made
Motion
that.
on that
Yeah,
tree.
to make a motion on 94 Cardinal that we need to remove that tree. It's gonna fall down in the road and it's that big around.
Yeah, and I don't wanna
So,
get
it's that
called
big.
out at 12 o'clock at night.
It's next week or so, she's gonna fall, so.
Howard.
Howard. So any more discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
And at this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going too, cause I took a couple of shots today at the doctor, and now I'm getting in there feeling.
Oh, yeah.
One other
Better try to
thing.
make it on in.
Yeah, I feel my voice already changing.
One other thing is on Morris Road. I thought I did a board order on that, and I may have not. But I need to do a board order. I've gotten the right of ways, and I do have the money available to pave. It's only 3/10 of a mile, and you very aware with
Yeah.
at the very back of the road, we can't go behind that guy at that gate. But I'm gonna make the motion for us to pave Morris Road with my bond proceeds that I still have. So that's my motion. Second by Supervisor Miller. Any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor say aye.
I make the motion to acknowledge the road manager's report.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Supervisor Miller, second by Supervisor Howard to acknowledge the road manager's report. All those in favor say aye. Thank you.
Anything else? Did you do anything? Did you do everything we talked about? Okay.
Good.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Y'all have a good one.
Be careful, Joe. See you later, Mike.
Moving right along. We'll move to Ms. Livingston. Do you have anything?
I have nothing at this time.
Ms. Farmer, County Administrator Business.
Right, I do have some things on the agenda, but I also have some that I'll come in afterwards that I put on the table. So we're gonna do the agenda first. You have the payroll changes for approval. We can work in that one payroll too if you want. That's actual termination. The employee has not showed up for work since May 31st.
Okay, so this is all the payroll.
This is all the payroll.
Okay, you heard the request
So
for payroll
moved.
changes?
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is 4-0. Supervisor, you just need to note Supervisor Montgomery left the meeting, had to leave the meeting, okay?
Have a budget amendment from the Sheriff Department for $4,264.
So move.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Need a board order approving.
4-0 on that. I'm sorry.
Board order approving, Sheriff Deputy Julius Gandy. He's retiring the end of the month to purchase his weapon.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Supervisor Williams made the motion, Supervisor Howard seconded the motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0 on that as well.
Need a board order allowing now the annual allocation for brick fire project in the amount of $5,000. This is what we
Can that be-
discussed, that legislature passed, but it wasn't gonna go into effect till July 1. Y'all told me to
That's
hold
why
it.
it was July 1.
Oh, what is this, June? Okay, take that off.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah,
take
I
that
was
off.
wondering
Take
when
that
All right,
off.
they
we
make
tabled
the
that.
estimate.
Yeah, table.
Because the new budget don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can actually receive it in July, the 1st of July.
July, I presented the first meeting.
Right.
Okay, what about number 5, Sally Kate?
That's the same.
That's same
All right, taking both of those off.
Yeah,
We're
next
taking
one.
4 and 5 off of that. That would be Brick Fire and Sally Kate until after the July 1st deadline.
And
So
we
now
do
I'm gonna move to-
have several other, at least 2 or 3 more with $5,000.
That's already approved. These we
Yeah,
needed, interlocals.
Yeah, well-
Legislature had to approve these.
Right,
And
we
we
have
got
some-
that this session.
Yeah, we do have some other interlocal.
We do, that we currently fund. These we have not been. These are new.
Right. Do they need to request?
No.
one also?
They'll just do it during the budget time. All right, now I'm gonna move to the additions on the table. The first is a budget amendment in the amount of $4,000. Y'all see those? I had everything paper clipped together.
That's for the sheriff.
It is,
So move.
okay?
And that was for the Sheriff's Department.
Yep.
Yeah. Got a motion by Supervisor Howard for the budget amendment. Need a second? By Supervisor Williams for the Sheriff's Department. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. It's 4264, Supervisor Trainer, since you didn't have that probably in your pack.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
You have another budget amendment for the Sheriff Department for $5,064.
So move.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams for another board amendment for the Sheriff's Department. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
You have the state aid awarding contract for the Sturgis Maven project awarding pavement restoration, for approval.
Okay, this is for state aid project in the amount of,
There's no amount. Oh,
$2,672,800. Motion made by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
you have a Neil Schaefer's invoice in the amount of $5,650 for approval.
What was this for?
The industrial park, what Phyllis presented, the second page.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard to approve this, bill for $5,650 to Neil Schaefer for the industrial park. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
And pay request-
5,600.
Williams
And then Howard, I'm sorry.
The pay request number 2, for Hodges Rock Solid in the amount of $219,168.
So move.
Who was that?
Hodges,
This is through Neil Schaefer.
it's the second one under your Neil Schaefer. I had everything paper clipped together.
I know, but you know. Sorry.
That's for the extensive grubbing and clearing and
Out at
grading.
the industrial park.
Okay. Sorry, I was trying to follow it out. There it is. Okay, we got a motion, to pay in the amount of $219,168 for the grubbing at the industrial park. The motion was made by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? All in favor? That was Neil Schaefer, and that was Supervisor Trainer? 4-0 on that.
Mississippi Engineering Group invoice in the amount of $6,771.59.
So move.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard to pay Mississippi Engineering Group $6,771.59. Need a second. Is this for what, the
County Lake.
sinkhole? What is this
Some
for?
type of design.
They got this part of the
Design service.
From April 29th to May 26th.
Okay, we got a second? By Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? The only discussion I would have is that now that we've turned this over to the water, Tom Bigby Water Associate, who is it?
Soil and water conservation.
Yeah, soil and water conservation. I would just say that let's try to get them in here to make sure we're actually doing what we're supposed to be doing. It was my understanding, Supervisor Trainer had Mr. Ivy reach out to me to explain it. It's my understanding that they do their own studies and we're not gonna be reimbursed for any of this, and they're gonna pick the company that's going to do this. So we don't need to be double charging the taxpayers for anything. So could you get Mr. Ivy to come see us, please?
This took place before we did the board order though, to turn it over to the soil and water conservation.
Okay, all right. And need a vote. Got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Couple other things.
Oh, no.
3-0.
3-1. 3-1.
I need board approval to apply for the 23-24 Triad grant through the Sheriff's Department.
Motion for approval?
Second.
Got a motion by Supervisor Williams, second by Supervisor Howard to apply for the Triad grant for the Sheriff's Department. Any further discussion?
Is there any way we can look at the possibility of expanding that? I know might be some discussion prior to.
Now, see, we don't control that grant, we just apply
Yeah,
for the funding.
I know, but the sheriff department, maybe we might talk to
Yeah,
them
you need to
about
talk to the sheriff.
expanding the possibility.
You do.
All in favor?
Uh,
Motion passes 4-0. I'm sorry, I'm not.
That's okay. We need a board order to put on the November election, the special election for the District 1 election commissioner. You know, Ms. Marnita is filling it, well, she was appointed after, Greg Fulgham. It's not running, so I need a board order for allowing that to be put on the November election.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Williams to add that to the special election.
The November 2023 ballot.
November ballot. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes. Supervisor Schreiner?
Aye.
4-0. Okay.
These just some reminders. On tomorrow at 8 a.m., the team from Jackson State will be at the county lake performing the geophysical study. That's at 8 a.m. The county, we're gonna close off one lane of road. I've talked to Victor, he's gonna provide 2 flagmen to do the traffic control. That is at 8. Also, the joint meeting with the hospital will be June 29th, next Thursday at 4 p.m. The meeting will be at the hospital. And also, we are getting ready to move forward with the Harris Road Bridge. We will be closing that bridge beginning June 26th. It's gonna take 4 to 5 months to do the work, but Printed Engineering is putting it in the paper. I'm gonna put it on our website. We're gonna run it for a week in the paper and 1 day a week thereafter until we open it back up.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Farmer.
Thank you.
The only thing I would say is, I let y'all know, I didn't know the meeting for the hospital was gonna be that day. I think I responded to everybody that I'm not gonna be here. And Attorney Robertson's not gonna, okay. My only suggestion would be if there needs to be some changes, that the Board of Trustees come to us with a plan, this is my suggestion, I don't know what they're gonna talk to us about, but they come to us with a plan, so the public understands that that's coming from the Board of Trustees and from the hospital, and then we work with them on whatever that plan needs to be.
Sounds good.
Okay, and I think we need,
Motion to go into closed session, determine for a lawsuit dealing with the county lake.
okay.
So moved.
Got a motion by Supervisor Howard to go in closed session to determine if we need to go in executive session for litigation about the county lake lawsuit. Got a second by Supervisor Williams. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 4-0.
Yeah.